once again for New Japan Pro Wrestling action. This time, the tour we have at hand is the New Japan Road. It's in between the Jingu Stadium show and in between G1 Climax. And speaking of G1 Climax, we're going to have participants announced. We're having matches announced. We have when these matches are taking place. And at the end of this tour, we are going to have brand new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, and we very well may have brand new never openweight six-man trios champions. So we could have a set of new champions, Jay, here going into the G1 Climax. That would be very interesting. Of course, myself, Blunt Cianito, a.k.a. the Pro Wrestling Fly God, joined by my illustrious tag team partner, the book junkie yourself, the intellectual juggernaut. Jay, how are you today?
Oh, I am excited about this. I can't believe that it's September and we're sitting here going, it's G1 time! Because this has literally never happened before. But this is where we are, and I'm really excited about it. I like the idea of going into the G1 and then going almost directly into Wrestle Kingdom instead of having, 2.5 months of basically downtime where there's just not a whole lot that you really could see happening. Fans of New Japan have criticized that in the past, that as far as their schedule goes, there would be dead time between major shows where you're pretty sure nothing major is going to happen, like title changes and stuff. And that was always one of them, the time between the end of G1 and the start of Wrestle Kingdom. And this year, that is not a problem.
No, it's not. It's not a problem at all. Like you said, we're getting right into the stuff of the G1 heading into Wrestle Kingdom. So, yeah, and it's weird. We probably won't have a power struggle. I'm not saying we won't have that tour, but we might not necessarily have that. And then when you think about this, Jay, we normally would get the Super Junior Tag League in, I guess, November, around the same time as Power Struggle. We would get that Super Junior Tag League. And for all intents and purposes, we just got that right here doing this tour. And I was like, wow, they just did the Super Junior Tag League without having to really, I guess, announce they're having it, because I guess with the kind of unfortunate accident of Yo getting injured and these guys having to vacate the titles, it was kind of like, this works out for us to do right now. And that's what New Japan has done.
And let's be fair, they really weren't going to have a whole lot of options when it comes to who's going to participate in this tournament, because until travel restrictions are lifted, they basically have who they have. And so they were going to be limited anyway. And I personally think they did the best that they possibly could, given the situation that they were in.
I think so too. And about the Junior Tag League, I was actually, I guess, kind of ambiguous on how this tournament was going to take place. I wasn't sure if this tournament was a single elimination or if it was a round robin. Lo and behold, it was a round robin tournament, because when the first night was over, I was like, why are these guys still wrestling? And I was like, oh, okay, it's a round robin tournament. So that's when my Super Junior Tag League hat started to come in a little bit. So I was like, all right, I was for it, because like you said, with these 4 teams, it was probably better suited to do it that way. And the 4 teams we had in this mini round robin tournament, if you guys don't know, we had the team of Los Dos Peligrosos, even though New Japan does not refer to them as that at all. We do. We have Bushi and Hiromu Takahashi. We have the team, I don't really know what to call these guys. We have their Bullet Club team. We have Gaito and Taiji Ishimori. I feel sorry for Ishimori even teaming with Gaito. I just feel really bad for him in that scenario. And we have the team of Master Wato and Raizuke Taguchi. And when you think about this on paper, Jay, I didn't even think about this till I saw these teams matching up in the brackets, for lack of a better term. The team with the actual most in-ring time together as a tag team, Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado. And when you say that and you think about that, it kind of makes sense what happens overall in this tournament. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But I was just looking at that. I was like, wow, they're the team who's pretty much, I guess you can say, Bushi and Hiromu, they've had some tag team matches together, but I don't think their time in the ring has been as long as Maru and El Desperado. So it kind of wanted me to looking at that right now, I was like, damn, that's very interesting.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. You've got to look at any weight class of tag team wrestling as being its own specific creature. And we've talked about this on many episodes over a long period of time, that good tag team wrestling the best tag team wrestling that you will ever see is a magnificent art form all its own, and the people who do it are the people who don't just get in the ring and do cool stuff at the same time. There's a connection there that they can function as a unit like nothing else. And while our bias in terms of factions usually leads us to say that LIJ is going to be that group, or more of a master of it than anybody else, when you look at El Desperado and Kanemaru, you're going to see it in a very different way. They don't get nearly the singles time that Hiromu and Bushi get, so they have more time to devote to their tag team work.
Shit, they might not, when you think about it, Jay, they might not get as much singles time as any of these guys on any of these other teams, maybe barring Ghetto. But if you think about it, Taguchi, they're probably not getting as much singles time as him. At this point, Master Wado's getting a lot of singles time. Like you said, Bushi Hiromu. Then Taiji Ishimori, he's a junior heavyweight champion, so he's getting singles time. So they're actually getting way more tag team time than these guys are, and they're just not, like you said, not having to get that singles time. But I just think that makes them gel well. The opening tag team match actually in this round robin, they actually had the first one. It was a semi-main of the show. I think it was September the 5th, I believe. September the 5th, a couple days ago. The semi-main of that show, we actually had the aforementioned Master Wado and Raizuke Taguchi taking on the team we were just talking about, Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado, right here. So this is a really, really good match. And we know the beef that not necessarily, well, actually Kanemaru, and I guess by default, by proxy, El Desperado has with Master Wado. And Jay, in my honest opinion, which gave this match the outcome that we received right here, the key factor in this match was the key was Taguchi. Taguchi was the key to this match for his team right here. It was almost like he helped Master Wado stay out of his own way, if that makes sense. It's almost kind of like he helped him keep focus, even though Taguchi can be a silly coach of a man, as we know him as. I just think him in this match right here helped Wado keep his focus. He helped him keep him on task, and that was actually what led them to the win, because they got the win with the RPP in about 13 minutes, 26 seconds right here. And I thought this was a solid semi-main for that show. And it gave Wado some comeuppance on both of the Suzuki Gun guys. So I was for it.
I was a little bit surprised, not just at the outcome, but at several different things. Wado getting comeuppance against Suzuki-gun seemed a little quick by the typical standards of New Japan storytelling. I'm not opposed to it at all, but I thought, oh, okay, he's getting one up here. All right, I thought he was gonna take a couple of more lessons in humiliation before he got everything figured out. This was one of those completely random teams that when they announced it, you go, okay, wait, what? And then when you actually see them, they are really good together. I like how the characters mesh, and I like how their wrestling styles mesh. Like you were saying, Taguchi is basically the ultimate coach of New Japan, whatever other aspects of his personality come into play during matches. But, all due respect to Rocky Romero, Taguchi is the head coach of New Japan, and that is exactly the role that he's playing in the ring with Master Wado. We've still got Hiroyoshi Tenzan at ringside, but coaching from ringside and coaching during the match in the ring with your tag team partner are two different things. So I was really surprised when they threw this team together, but it did answer the question of, okay, who else are they going to get? So them getting the win here was a lot of fun, and Master Wado seems to be improving with every match he has. I know his first match against Doki and even his match against Kanemaru at Shingu Stadium were not the greatest matches of all time in the minds of a lot of people, but he just seems to be improving by leaps and bounds with every single match, and he looked really, really good in this particular match. So I enjoyed it a lot, even though if they had talked about oh, who's going to compete for the junior tag belts since Roppongi 3K had to put them up? If you claim that you had Master Wato and Ryusuke Taguchi as a tag team, I call thee a liar, sir. Nobody saw that coming.
Like, yeah, I definitely didn't see that coming at all. So that was a nice swerve, a nice curveball to throw to have Taguchi team up with him. Nice call because, like you said, we're kind of limited with the junior heavyweight tag team competitors or just junior heavyweight competitors at all. Just, because guys that can have come over and whatnot. So the main event of this show on September 5th, 2020, we have the team of Los Dos Peligrosos representing Los Ingobernables de Japón, that being the ticking time bomb Hiromu Takahashi, Jet Black Death Mask himself, the champion of the goddamn universe, Bushi, right here. This is trying to get a little bit of comeuppance because we know not too long ago, actually in Jingu Stadium, the man who took the belt from Hiromu Takahashi is actually standing across the ring from him. We got Taiji Ishimori, the Bone Soldier, out there, as Tama Tonga would say. Shout out to Tama Tonga. And he's teaming with a guy who, by lack of a better term, is weighing him the fuck down here. This my man Ghetto right here. But I do joke, but I will say these guys had a really, really good match, 21-minute match right here. And the Ghetto stuff, it was enhancing of this match to me because it's not like a situation to where he's interfering on the behalf of a Switchblade or insert wrestler here, mainly Switchblade. But it was more like he had to pull these tactics to survive. It's like he had to pull these out to just stay afloat in this match, and we already know Bone Soldier is just a physical specimen, so he would have no problem doing that. But the tactics that Ghetto used, in my opinion, it was just more or less so he can pretty much keep up and stay on par with the guys that he was taking on across, standing across the ring from him. And we all know, we fans of Los Dos Peligrosos, got a new finisher, LAT. They debuted it right here. I actually thought they're going to invert it into like the time bomb kind of flip. And then I thought about it, I'm like, that's too risky. And it's like a lot of stuff goes into that. So I can see why they do this as the finisher, which is not a bad finisher. I still like LAT. But I just thought about that. I was like, it'd be kind of, it'd be kind of wonky a little bit if you kind of don't have the right, grip on it. So we get LIJ, Los Dos Peligrosos, getting a little bit of comeuppance on the Bullet Club right here. They actually teased the yes lock spot, which I thought was really nice. It was like, oh, is he gonna tap out again? Because it's really close. So they teased that right there. We didn't get it. We got the heroes winning this match right here. We got Bushi, Hiromu taking the victory home for the whole team. And shout out to Bushi for the half Kamatachi, half Bushi mask, of course, as he always does when these guys team. So Jay, what do you say?
The mask and suit game of Bushi is unparalleled in the history of wrestling, and I know that we keep saying more people should give him credit for that. I don't know how you can't. It's just so right there. You really have the feeling that Ishimori just decided, okay, I'm the junior heavyweight champion. I got nothing else to do. I'm going to go for the junior tag titles. Who can I get? Oh, wait, ELP isn't here. Who else we got? Oh, we got you. Yeah, you feel like there was either the drawing of a short straw or Ishimori looks around and goes, shit. But you can even tell when he comes out that he's not totally pleased about it. And as it's a mini tournament, sure, but as the tournament progressed, Ishimori's backstage comments get more and more pointed where he's just like, damn it, these people. And you get the idea that he knows from the very beginning that teaming with Geto means that everything's going to totally fall apart, but there aren't a whole lot of Bullet Club junior heavyweights to work with right now, so he is a little bit stuck. But yeah, I felt bad for him too.
Yeah.
I will agree though that Ghetto's nonsense does work better when he's actually participating in the match on purpose instead of just running interference. And when you have three guys the caliber of the people who were in the ring, he really wouldn't have any other choice but to do the stuff he does in order to actually have a tiny chance at all of keeping up with them. So
Yeah.
I think we all knew that if you know, pins were going to be made on that particular team, Ishimori was not going to be the one taking them. And that's pretty much how it went. So uh, the whole Hiromu Ishimori interaction, we know there's going to be more down the line eventually, but I really, really enjoyed that part of this match in particular. I just like everything those two do together.
How can you not? Everything they do together is damn near magic. So I mean, it's just like, hey, give me some more of that magic, please, 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 and thank you. So that wraps up the show on the 5th as far as the Super Junior Tag League. That's what I'm going to call it. They haven't really been calling it that, but I'm just going to call it that, just for lack of a better term. Then we have the show that took place Sunday, September 7th. We have two great junior heavyweight tag team matches on the show. We have, man, this is really weird to say, Jay. We have the team of Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado. Actually, they're maintaining the spot that they usually do, but somebody who's really in a maybe a different kind of spot than what they normally are is the Bullet Club team of Ishimori and Gato right here, because for lack of a better term, they played the faces, and it was really weird.
Anytime you get Suzuki-gun versus Bullet Club, it is really weird because both of those groups are the most horrible people on the planet at whatever time they're having a match. And so when they go up against each other, I really look forward to it because it's this really bizarre situation of who's going to out heel the other one and how are they going to go about it. So the last time we saw Bullet Club versus Suzuki-gun in a tag team match, it was the same kind of thing. So yes, it's incredibly weird, but and I wouldn't want to do it too often, but every now and then I actually really enjoy it because when you have two teams that are all about, treachery, skullduggery, and shenanigans, you want to see, whose version of that is going to come out on top, and that's what happened here.
Absolutely. I do love the fact that we kind of get a little bit of continuation of the ongoing Noah story arc between Kanemaru and Taiji Ishimori. I thought it would maybe play a little bit more into this match than it did, but it is what it is. We get Geto. I guess he's doing leather belt spots now. That's one of his things that he's doing now. So, and it was weird, even though Suzuki-gun kind of took up the heel role mostly. I do kind of felt that role kind of went back and forth a little bit as this match progressed because Bullet Club weren't clean as a whistle by any means in this match. So
No, they weren't. But like you just said about the Noah history, anytime Ishimori and Kanemaru cross paths now, I'm curious to see what happens because I honestly wish that Ishimori had not been able to beat him before this because the thought process that I had was that Ishimori was going to keep losing to Kanemaru like he has over 3 different promotions and 15 years or however long. And that once Ishimori had a championship belt of some kind, then he would have to step up against Kanemaru to try to defend it, and they'd be able to play the he's never beaten Kanemaru, not even once. And the fact that they did that in one of the empty arena shows with, not only no fans, but with no fanfare, that was a huge deal. And they kind of wasted it. And so, especially now that Ishimori is the junior heavyweight champion, I just feel like it would have been a whole lot more interesting if he still had not beaten Kanemaru, and that's how Kanemaru would go about getting a title shot is, hey, not only have you not beaten me here, you haven't beaten me anywhere ever. I want a title shot. That would have been, I think, really interesting, and we can't have that because they've already used it. So, not to beat it to death, but I just found that kind of disappointing. I think we did see little flashes of, babyface Ishimori in there, and I'm not totally convinced that we're never going to get that again. I don't know that he's going to be, the Bullet Club Bone Soldier forever. He certainly could, but I just think, happy, smiley, dancing Sendai Sailor Boy Taiji is going to come out eventually, because that's just part of who he is.
You can almost see when he does like his evil grin, it's almost like he's smiling still. Like, it's, you know what I mean? It's still like, he's like, I'm grinning evilly. I'm like, but are you really, man? You're really not. It's fine.
Yeah, like he's learned how to cover it up, but that's it. He's still doing babyface Ishimori things, but he's like, oh, okay, if I smirk just right, people won't know that I'm smiling. I'm like, yes, Taiji, we do.
Yeah, we will know that you're smiling. But Taiji Ishimori couldn't overcome his victory that he had against Kanemaru earlier in the year, because once again the Bullet Club tag team eats the L right here. We got the Pinche Loco on my man Geto. He wasn't putting it on Taiji Ishimori. Are you crazy? Ishimori wasn't getting pinned in this match. You knew it was going to be Geto right here. This match went about 16 minutes. Thought it was some entertaining stuff. I thought these guys did some good stuff here in this match. They kept me, engaged. They kept me intrigued. So I liked it. Main event time, Jay. Why don't you tell the people who we got in the main event?
Oh, I thought you were doing that part. Sorry.
Oh, my bad.
No, I really don't have it up in front of me, so yeah.
I got it. It's cool. I got it. It's we have the team of Master Wato and Taguchi taking on Los Dos Peligroso, Bushi, and Hiromu Takahashi right here. And this match went about 18 minutes, a little bit over. The stuff between Hiromu and Master Wato, very intense, and it kind of lends into what was said post-match by one Hiromu Takahashi right here, because make no mistake, even though they fought hard, they fought with their best. The team of Los Dos Peligroso got the victory right here by the LAT, which they're putting guys away with the LAT right now. But the most intriguing thing I took from this match is what Hiromu said post-match about this guy, about what he said about Master Wato. And Jay, why don't you go ahead and tell me your feelings about Master Wato and what was Hiromu said about him right here, and your thoughts on the match as well, because that's important too.
Well, it was a really, really good match, and I enjoyed it a lot. I think that they are positioning Master Wato and Hiromu to be a thing on down the line, and I think a lot of this is coming from the fact that Master Wato spent his entire excursion in Mexico, and Hiromu knows a little something about that. And the idea that Hiromu is going to take Master Wato to task on the microphone, you couldn't straight up say it was heelish, but Hiromu was a bit of an asshole here, if we may speak bluntly.
No, he was.
It was, I don't want to say it's out of character, but usually it's just kind of a, sassy, confident kind of thing. Hiromu was a little bit of a dick here, but, he gets on the mic and he's calling out Master Wato, basically saying, I thought you were going to come back from your excursion like a rocket, and you're really just kind of there. If you want to get my attention, here's what you have to do. Quit being a yes man for those old guys. And the fact that, for lack of a better phrase, a number of people refer to the junior division as Hiromu and his boyfriends, and now, you've got him telling Master Wato, okay, here's how you get my attention, I'm waiting. And he's totally mean girling this stuff. And the idea that he's telling him in front of Tenzan and Taguchi, and then he specifically mentioned Tanahashi as well, that you don't need to listen to them and do what they want you to do, and I'm basically not going to pay any attention to you as long as you're doing that. And so when you add that to the fits that we've seen Master Watto have in frustration at losing, even though he's not even had that many matches yet, it's pretty easy to imagine him just basically telling all of New Japan to piss off and, doing his own thing, even if it is rather ill-advised. So, the interactions in the match between Hiromu and Watto were, as you said, quite intense. And I don't think this is anything in the short term. Let's not expect any kind of rivalry anytime soon, because Hiromu has straight up said Watto isn't worth it right now. He's challenged him to make himself worth it.
Hiromu, in my opinion, he essentially sunned Master Wato to what he said right there. He just put him in his place. He's like, all right, we just had this match, but let me remind you once again, if you want me to notice you, like you said, this is what you have to do, and you ain't accomplishing none of that yet, homeboy. So Hiromu sat his ass down. He pretty much took him to the learning tree for a little bit and just told him what he needed to do. So. My man Hiromu, bro, you rough on these boys, man. Especially Master Wato, you rough on them. But hey, I like how you said, because it's not really out of Hiromu's character, but it's not characteristic of him. But it's kind of that snide, snarky side we see sometimes from him that we don't really see a whole lot. But sometimes that side comes out, especially if he's wrestling like a guy from like Suzuki-gun or something. Like he kind of looks at regular Army and Suzuki-gun guys almost the same. It's kind of weird.
Well, and I think anybody whose big selling point is, they spent their excursion in Mexico, and Hiromu's like, oh yeah, really? Because if anybody knows about that, it's the guy who spent 4 years there doing that exact same thing. And just from the very beginning, when Hiromu grabs the microphone and basically says, hey, Watto, your senpai is talking, I'm like, ooh, okay. Because, he's throwing the S word around in public. Okay. So, that I think is going to be a very interesting thought for down the line, because we talked about that when they were young lions. Watto was obviously going to be a junior heavyweight when he came back, barring, a science experiment gone horribly wrong. But, we knew he was going to be a junior, and that he might possibly end up crossing paths with Hiromu, and now he's basically been called out on it. So we'll see what happens with that. It's going to be interesting, because even after this match, every match that Master Watto has is his best match to date. I mean, he really is improving every time we see him. It's almost scary.
Yeah. Shout out to Master Watto. He's putting work in with his craft, so we gotta appreciate that. And they had a show, I believe it was on Tuesday, September 8th, excuse me. And there wasn't any tournament matches on there. We can kind of give you I guess the main event of that show. Let me pull up the results of that one real fast, because I don't think that show even made tape, so I could be wrong about that, but maybe it did. I don't know, man. We watch a lot of New Japan, okay, damn it. So maybe it made tape. But the main event of that show was Sonata and Naito going against Dick Togo and Evil, and of course we know who won that match. Dick Togo was able to beat Naito with a Destino, effectively challenging for the double titles, pulling a Yo, because Yo has 2 victories over Naito with the Destino. As we all know, he beat him twice, clean, in the middle of the ring. So when he comes back, he's going to be do a title shot. So there weren't any tournament matches on that. There were a lot of 6-man. Pretty much there were all 6-man tags except for the first match. First match was an 8-man tag. Had Master Wato, Taguchi, Tenzan, Kojima, Going Nixon, Bullet Club, Jado, Geto, Ishimori, and Yujiro Takahashi. Yujiro got the pin over Kojima with the pimp juice, so that's kind of interesting. That's because I thought the Bullet Club team would have got washed, but damn, Yujiro got the pin on that one. Okay.
And I think when we consider the announcements that were made, we now understand why that was.
Absolutely. And actually, that happens on this show. So I think actually before we even get... No, what? Huh? I'm sorry. I was like, huh? No, I meant like not the show on Tuesday, but it happened on the Wednesday show when they can resume tournament action as far as the junior heavyweights. They did announce, I think was it during the intermission that they're going to have the G1 Climax entrance. They said the blocks were going to be announced as well. So
Mm-hmm.
we might as well tell them, Jay, the people who we got in this G1 Climax tournament. And I'm not even going to like kid you or lie about it. Some of them were a little bit of a surprise to me. I know we kind of speculated about some guys, but I didn't think how real the possibility was considering the worldwide situation. So a lot of these guys we got, I was kind of surprised by them. So
It was one of those, surprised but not totally things where we knew if there was a way to get them in the country to participate, it was going to happen. It was just a question of what was going to be possible. So the official entrance in Block A for G1 Climax 30, which is going to kick off in the middle of September for the first time ever, we have the Golden Star Kota Ibushi, Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada, Tomohiro Ishii, Shingo Takagi, the current never openweight champion, one Murder Dad Minoru Suzuki, one half of the current IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, Taichi, the Tokyo Pimp, Yujiro Takahashi, fancy that one. And then we got the ones that we weren't sure we were going to get. We have Jeff Cobb, we have Will Ospreay, and we have Switchblade Jay White. That is your block A, and there is a lot to unpack in this block.
From a king to a god, that's my new thing for Jay White now. He was King Switch, now he about to be the God Blade. So it is what it is. Switchblade, you back, baby. I'm hyped when I see. I was like, come on. Once they start when they said Ospreay, I was like, I did my groan. And I was like, man, Switchblade better be next, bro. I was almost pacing like, hey man, if Switchblade ain't next, bro. I was about to say I've jumped through this TV, dog, and woo, it was gonna be ugly, but thank God Switchblade was here. So now I'll go ahead and announce the participants for Block B. In Block B, which we got some returning people as well. Some guys like, hey man, don't forget about us, because one of them I'm not trying to say, but I certainly forget about. So it is what it is. I still got love for you, but I kind of forgot about you. But you're back and you're gonna make me remember how great you are. So we're gonna talk about that. First guy we got announced in this block, of course, the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi. He's in this block B right here. We got a former G1 Climax winner as well. Actually, Tanahashi is a former G1 Climax winner as well. I think he's won this 3 times, I think. Yeah, he's won this tournament 3 times. So this is his third, or he's trying to get his 4th victory in the G1 Climax right here. Roki Goto, former G1 Climax winner. I think he won in 2009. Never won a G1 Climax, Toru Yano, but he'll be in there causing all kind of ruckus, chaos, mayhem, and destruction in his own comedic way. A man who probably will never ever win a G1, but he's here. And I kind of got to get him. He'll never ever win a G1, but he's here, and we take shots at him, but I got to take my hat off to him because he's had a very solid never open weight championship run, as long as they've had the belts. They actually have the defending titles coming up pretty soon. But Yoshihashi's in block B block right here. We have Cold Skull Sonata, and I like how they entered. We can't really. It's crazy because if I could try to make a graphic up, I could. But the way they were announcing the block, like the wrestlers in each block, I think was very good. And it was a nice way of building anticipation to which wrestler are going to be in which block, because they had it's kind of like a fighter select screen. It's kind of funny, but you didn't have any of the fighters in there until they'd be like, all right, here's Sonata, and you were like, okay. So I like how they did that graphic with the wrestler select screen. I thought that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed that too, because it wasn't just announce a name and then the picture goes in the next spot. They were putting them in different spots, like, oh, wait a minute. And when a certain picture would go next to a certain other picture, you'd be thinking, oh, that match. Okay, so yeah, they definitely made it where you had to pay attention. It wasn't just listening to names.
Yep, and shit, of course, we got more LIJ representation in this on this G1 Block B. We have the reigning double champ himself, IWGP Heavyweight Champion, IWGP Intercontinental Champion, my main man Tetsuya Naito. We have I don't really know what to call him in Bullet Club. I'm not really going to call him the leader, especially with certain situations happening. And the Bullet Club scenario is about to get very, very much more clear. And we're going to see what's going to happen with that sooner than later than we thought. So I am thrilled about that. So we have Evil right here. We have Zack Sabre Jr. being in Block B. The returning flamboyant Juice Robinson. Welcome back to New Japan, Juice Robinson. How the hell are you? Glad you're here. Let's go. And then we have, of course, the man with the dangerous kicks, man. What I call a 5-star general of the Bullet Club right here. You know what I mean? Hey, when you ever refer to him as that, a 5-star general. He goes by many monikers, but right now, Lil K, the dog Kenta, making his return to New Japan Pro Wrestling. And as I look at Block B and how this unfolds, Jay, of course, you know I'm always looking at this shit, my Tetsuya Naito glasses. Take 2 things from this. One, how weird is this going into G1 Climax right now that our guy, he's the guy. Like, our Naito future for the rest of the year does not hinge on him winning G1 Climax. That is so weird.
We have not really been in this position before, and Naito fans worldwide are probably dealing with the same cognitive dissonance that we are, that we can just sit back and watch, and we don't really have to sweat it too much as to what is going to happen to our guy, because he's the man going into the thing. And we know that unless they do something incredibly strange and frankly incredibly stupid, he's going to have at least one of those titles at Wrestle Kingdom. And I would not be surprised if he does continue to hold on to both of them, that the main event on the first night is an IC title match, and the main event the second night is a heavyweight title match. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
And as I look at this Block BJ, I just realized something. Like I was talking about the whole Tetsuya Naito thing, because the Naito team like directing towards it. But you can almost say Block B is a tale of Ghost of Tetsuya Naito's past, because you have, of course, Hiroshi Tanahashi here. We all know the history and the relationship between one Naito and Tanahashi, which are actually wrestling on Block B night 1. So that should be, we getting it popping already with that match. And my God, have the shoes changed in that whole dynamic. That's just the other thing that puts a smile on my face. Of course, we have Tanahashi, another guy who is linked to Tetsuya Naito's kind of more of a recent past, but a dude that was definitely a thorn in his side right here. We remember 2018. We remember what Zack Sabre Jr. was doing all of 2018 to Tetsuya Naito. He was beating him all throughout the year until Power Struggle. So he's visiting that ghost right here. And he has a bit of a current 2-headed ghost, because we all know what Kenta did at Wrestle Kingdom in the Tokyo Dome. Just, destroying this moment right here. We all know what he got right here. And the dude who pretty much is a current ghost of his and a current enemy, Evil. So this bracket to me is just like, man, this is all like the ghost of Naito's past, present, and maybe future.
Well, let's not forget about Yano in the course of all that. Yano has beaten Naito in the G1 before,
yes, he has.
Treachery and shenanigans abound, because let's also not forget that Yano currently holds the King of Pro Wrestling 2020 trophy, and he's going to have to defend that, and anyone who beats Yano in the G1 could theoretically lay claim to that, whereas when Yano realized that if he manages to hold on to this trophy until basically Wrestle Kingdom, he will get a bigger trophy, now Yano has goals, and he wants that big trophy, so he will definitely do anything in his power to make sure that he continues to be the King of Pro Wrestling through the end of the year.
Absolutely. And should I think on the next show we got, which is the show, I think it was maybe, let me look at the results. I don't know if it was necessarily this show, but it was a show maybe the next night. We got a little bit of these guys already getting on each other's nerves, because maybe we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but I'm looking at Block A and I'm like, damn, I was like, wow, they put Taichi and they put Minoru Suzuki in the same block. When I saw that, I was just like, I was like, that's kind of like, I'm like, okay, not saying like, oh, we're here right now because it just it happened so fast. I was just like, oh, okay, this was this is. So I was kind of like, that's kind of how I looked at it. I was just like, okay. I was like, all right, then is. And I saw a lot of comments on Twitter talking about is are we in the Taichi gun effect right now? Is it Taichi gun factor? So I saw that going on, and kind of harkening back to you've always every time I think about this, you've always been the one that said it, that said that Taichi said this, and it's going to prove itself true here very, very soon. Taichi says the one who is the strongest should be the leader, and between those two guys, we're going to find that out. And it's weird. I'm not saying they haven't wrestled before. I'm sure they have, but in this kind of context, I don't think they have Minoru Suzuki and Taichi. And literally at this point, it's kind of a power struggle. It's not a power struggle, but it's one because it's been laying dormant low key in the background. But at this point, if Taichi is able to get a victory over Minoru Suzuki, which we'll go in predictions here in a little while, throughout the week or whatever, and if he's able to get a victory over Minoru Suzuki, that is almost a power shift. I feel like I really do. I don't really feel that way in any other faction, but it's kind of weird because when you think about the landscape of New Japan, it's a rarity to where they'll have somebody in the faction beat the boss of the faction. That's super rare. It doesn't really happen. So it's just like when they do, it's either, one for storyline purposes or two storyline purposes. So, I mean, it's just like it's one of those. So.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily bad, though, because we got the mother of all faction shakeups with LIJ not that long ago. And the stuff that's been happening with Chaos has made me interested in Chaos for the first time in basically ever. And we had this very large group of people that basically existed, and that was it. And if they were not the faction that was set up around the champion, who at the time was Okada, who are they? Why are they there? Why do they exist as a group? And now, especially with a lot of the trios title stuff going on, you started seeing, inter-chaos warfare, and they may all be getting along now, but just the idea that, okay, who are you? What do you want? What do you stand for? What is all of this? For the first time ever, I am really curious to see what is going to happen with Chaos. So, you've got 3 members of Chaos in Block B, in Goto, Yano, and Yoshihashi. And then in Block A, you've got Okada, Ospreay, and Ishii. You've got, 3 more members. So you're going to have probably more chaos on chaos action than any other faction right now. And well, considering how many people they have, that's part of it. But yeah, I think that's going to tie in with all of the 6-man stuff and King of Pro Wrestling stuff. And I think we might see a shakeup in Chaos over the next few months as well.
You could be right. We could be looking at a power shift in Chaos as well. And speaking of power shifts, that match with Evil and Kenta is going to be really interesting, considering how Kenta first introduced himself to Evil at last year's G1 Climax. It's going to be super interesting. So,
yeah, if you did not see it last year in the G1 when Kenta and Evil met one-on-one for what I believe was the first time, Kenta had driven Evil into the corner. He puts his hands up on his face and he wipes his makeup off. And we were all sitting there like, oh, damn. Yeah. And now these two guys are in a faction together. And I don't necessarily think that is going to matter in and of itself, because Kenta was among the other members of Bullet Club that tweeted out, congratulations and welcome stuff when Evil turned and joined them. But I also think that Kenta's definitely not the sort to decide, oh, well, you joined us while we weren't there, and you did hold both titles for a little bit and I couldn't do that, but Kenta's in the shape of his life right now. If you don't follow him on Twitter, you should because he's hysterically funny. But oh my God, I just realized Kenta and Yoshihashi are in the same block.
Oh,
And
cool.
one of the things Kenta likes to do on Twitter is make fun of Yoshihashi. And one of the things that he did was he took a picture of all of the participants in B Block and he photoshopped Yoshihashi out of it and put a close up of Yoshihashi's staff in there instead. And he tweets this picture out and he goes, "There was a mistake, so I fixed it." Among other things, just Kenta is a total troll on social media, but one of his favorite topics to troll is Yoshihashi, and they're going to have a G1 match.
Right? You know, Yoshihashi, he's going to be looking at he's looking at that as the match of his life, and he's probably going to say, Kenta, I haven't liked you since you joined Bullet, or since you pro wrestling Noah guy. He's probably not even going to refer to him as Bullet Club because he's going to just think he's a Noah dude still, like when he thought Naito had just turned Ingobernables like after 2 years, but whatever. Like he was just like, oh man, I don't like this new you. It's like, what? Bro, he's been in Ingobernables for 2 years, bro. Kenta's been out of Noah for damn near how long? My man Yoshihashi, he's just like, man, what? I would love actually if Yoshihashi to start referring to him as the WWE guy. That would be great. Like I would, that would be hilarious, low key, if Yoshihashi did. I'm like, oh look at you, Yoshihashi showing some heart. Like, all right, but yeah, we got a lot of interesting match. We got Minoru Suzuki taking on Switchblade. Every Switchblade match is interesting to me because I'm always intrigued to how he's going to go and like pretty much take these guys' best weapon away from them. That's what he's about. So very interesting
Well,
to see how.
I have not forgotten, and I know a lot of other people haven't either. The last time we saw Switchblade Jay White and Minoru Suzuki in a one-on-one match, it was a G1 match, and Minoru Suzuki won, as one might expect. And post-match, Murder Dad had some strong words for young Switchblade. Particularly, he asked him if he knew what he was doing with that little knife of his. Does he know how to cut throats, or is it just for show?
Suzuki's spitting bars.
Jay basically got schooled on being a sadistic, psychopathic bully. And I would like to think that in a completely different way than he is with Shingo Takagi, I would like to think that Minoru Suzuki is kind of the insurmountable obstacle for Jay White. With Shingo, it's just, pure unadulterated toughness. But with Jay White, it's, intellectual cruelty. It's, sadistic planning. It's a totally different aspect of him, but I would kind of like it if Suzuki were the final boss, if you will, for both Shingo and Jay, but for completely different reasons.
Ooh, I like it. Well said. Well fucking said. Oh my gosh. So, talked about the G1 a little bit. We might as well wrap up the junior tag tournament that we got going on right here. We might as well talk about last couple of matches because these are point systems, as we mentioned before. So, the penultimate junior heavyweight tag team championship tournament match we had on this night, we had the team of Master Wato and Raizuke Taguchi taking on the Bullet Club team of Taiji Ishimori and Rat Bastard himself, Ghetto. But actually, shit, the champs right here. The champs. So I say champs like Ghetto is actually a fucking champ. The champ, the champ right here, Ishimori was actually able to make young Master Wato tap out and submit to the yes lock in under 15 minutes right here. So Master Wato and Ishimori had some very, very good stuff. You figure that Ghetto and Taguchi would pretty much cancel each other out with the shenanigans that the guys put on. So they were going to cancel each other out. And they kind of left it to Wato and then left it to Ishimori, and that's what we got right here. And we had him tapping out to the yes lock, but not after. It wasn't like he just got washed though. It was he put up a fight, but he's going against the champion. So this probably is what's going to happen to a guy like Master Wato at this point in his career. So.
Well, he put up quite a fight, and like I said before, that match with Ishimori is the best match that he's had so far. The interactions between Wato and Ishimori are some of my favorite things from the entire tour, and I would love to see these two go one-on-one at some point. So Yeah, definitely check the match out because those segments alone are totally worth your time. I do kind of wish, as ridiculous as it is, that if anytime Geto hits Taguchi in the butt with that leather belt, that Taguchi just totally no souls it. I think he should. I think, if he hits him anywhere else, okay, that's fair. But if he hits Taguchi in the butt, complete no sell. I think he should do that. It would be great.
I wish like they could have like a gimmick belt so Taguchi could just break the belt. It just be like, they're like, what? Buns of steel indeed. But another
Well, and
thing too about
Taguchi went after them with that towel because at first it looked like it was a loaded towel, like he'd put something in it. And then when Ishimori was complaining about it in his backstage comments, it wasn't loaded, it was just wet. And if you've ever been hit with a soaking wet towel by somebody who's swinging it around really, really fast, it packs quite the punch.
yeah, packs quite a wallop. And what's interesting too, I forgot to mention this as well. If Wado and Taguchi were able to win this match, and if Kanemaru and El Desperado were able to beat Hiromu and Bushi right here, they would actually no. If they were able to do that, they would have won the tournament because I feel that yeah, they would have won the tournament because they beat Despi and they beat Kanemaru and they would have because I think no actually hold on no I'm wrong because Despi or because Bushi and Hiromu were undefeated at that point so they would have been 2-1. They would at least went to the final to win to go against Hiromu and Bushi if they would have been able to beat the Bullet Club contingent and if Bushi and Hiromu would have lost to Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado. So they still had something on the line here in this match.
Yeah, anytime you do the round robin situation, the numbers are going to come into play. So much like G1 Climax math makes everybody's brain melt, there was some of that at play here. It wasn't just, oh, they lost, so they're out. So I think they explained on the show that if Hiromu and Bushi had won, then they would have gone on undefeated. But if Bullet Club had lost to Wato and Ishimori, it would have been a three-way match for the actual titles and just something kind of messed up like that. So I'm glad they didn't do that. That's too many people.
Yeah, that is. And I get like going through tiebreakers and all that. It's a little, can be tedious, but no, I'm cool. They didn't go the three-way route. And speaking of Bushi and Hiromu, they actually were in the main event here. They actually took on the team of Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado. Not gonna lie, when I seen this match and it was the last match, pretty much not really the last match, but it was kind of a almost deciding match. And I saw the records leading up to this, was a little scared. I was like, all right, I mean they could definitely have Hiromu and Bushi drop this match to El Desperado and Kanemaru right here. So I was a bit apprehensive on that. I was like, they could have them lose right here, especially since they hadn't lost a match and Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado had. So I was a little bit apprehensive on that.
Well, considering that we got a final that had Bushi and Hiromu versus Despi and Kanemaru, I was going to be cool with it pretty much no matter what happened.
My bad, Jay. I had like technical difficulties right there. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. Just saying that, considering the two teams that made it to the finals by that point, I was going to be cool with it either way because both of them are extremely good teams and both of them could totally make a title reign work. So now we're on to the end.
Absolutely. And before we get to the end, we actually had one title match before the finals of the Junior Tag League right here. It was a Never Trios Championship match that had, of course, the champions. You know these guys. Yoshihashi, Hash Brown, as LK would say. Shout out to LK. I have to mention him, see what he's doing, man. Shout out to LK. We had the team of Hash Brown, Tomohiro Ishii, and Hiroki Goto defending their trios championships against the trio of Sho, Toru Yano, and Kazuchika Okada. I do like the trio of Sho, Yo, and Yano. I feel that if he was not injured, this trio would be Sho, Yo, and Okada, not Sho, Yano, and Okada. I feel it would be Sho and Yo, which no disrespect to Yano, but I just feel like that trio is just a little bit. It just hits a little bit harder. You know what I mean? So I just think that trio would have been, kind of like more pizzazz.
Well, yeah, probably, and especially given that Yano has his hands full with being the king of pro wrestling for 2020, I think he would have been perfectly content with what was on his social calendar without that. So yeah, I agree that if Yo had been around, he probably would have been involved.
And I'm not going to lie, at certain points of this match, I was actually wanting the team of Sho, Yano, and Okada to win. But by the end of this match, I was really wanting Sho to beat Ishii right here. I was wanting her to be new champions because not only for Sho, but honestly, kind of to have Okada have a different championship belt on him besides the IWGP Heavyweight title. So I was kind of wanting for those two reasons. We didn't get there right here. We did have an amazing ending sequence between Sho and Tomohiro Ishii, dropping him on his head with the brainbuster. And even though most of these Chaos guys, they're not like, I'm not, Chaos for life. I'm not like that. But I will say that after they have these matches and the dust is settled, I do like to show respect between all six guys after this match is over. I think it's a nice touch. I think it really does. It's like we're so used to everybody backstabbing and just attacking everybody after the match. It's good to see, hey, we in the same stable, man. Pick him up, man. Dust him up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, give each other a hug. Congratulations. This is a hell of a match. That's what we got here.
Yeah, it was. And I did really enjoy that, especially in light of how intensely Ishii and Sho had been going at each other for the last couple of days, that it was one of those moments where you thought, okay, wow, no matter what happens in the match, are we going to see some cracking in Chaos? What's going to happen with that? And what happened with that was everybody got picked up, dusted off, and group hug, some respect, out we go. So everybody's fine now. But yeah, this may have been a trios title match. This was a Sho versus Ishii match as far as I was concerned. Everybody else had secondary roles to play.
I like the fact that Sho was almost taking every loss in New Japan personally. It's like, hey man, you beat me. We rivals now. And the other person's like, nah, it's not really like that, bro. I think this is what Ishii was trying to tell him. Like, he's like, no, man, we was just happy. Hey, it was good. Like, we not rivals, man. We in the same stable, bro. Chill out. Tranquilo, like Naito says. But no, I Sho just takes every loss personally. You know he does. He's just like, damn it, I got to get this person now. And it's just like, dude, you have so many rivals, man. You better stop. Your rogues gallery will be more extensive than Batman's and Spider-Man's. So we better just stop this right now,
Yeah, he's got to learn that every loss is not some, vendetta of honor that needs to be, dealt with on the spot. These are the guys that you travel with and that you shoot Chaos Academy videos with, and you were sitting next to Ishii in Yano's classroom. Y'all will be fine. It's a match. It's okay.
Right? Hug, like we said, hug him after. Don't be all, he's putting him putting a death note on fucking Ishii and shit. But anyway, he's just like fucking Ishii. He's like, dude, y'all in the same stable. But come on. But next we got for the main event of the show, guys, we have ending the tournament, the junior heavyweight tag team tournament. It was really weird how they placed these matches, because I was like, oh, actually it was weirdly smart, because the way they booked this, it was like, oh, you thought it would be one way when it was actually the other way. So the two finalists we have here, we have Los Dos Peligrosos, Bushi and Hiromu Takahashi, taking on a team that actually just beat them, I believe, either a day or two before, Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado. So pro wrestling math would actually tell you that them beating the baby faces in this match, them being the guys maybe who has a little bit, I want to say more momentum, but they kind of do have more momentum with the fans, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's just my call. Who knows? Whatever. I say shit like that. Guys who have not held those junior heavyweight tag team title belts, you almost felt like, okay, Bushi and Hiromu, they lost to Desperado and Kanemaru the other day. this is where they get their comeuppance here on these two guys. This is where Bushi and Hiromu were finally able to capture those junior heavyweight tag team belts that have eluded them ever since these two have started teaming. And I believe everybody who's a fan of theirs, you and I included, we all want these two guys to hold those two junior heavyweight tag team belts together. We just feel that it would be right in the world. This just makes everything right if Los Dos Peligroso are represented as the champions of that division, because they kind of should be. They're a good team, and hell, gives Bushi an IWGP belt again. So we're 100% for that. I see the exact reason why they did this right here, and it has something to kind of do with Hiromu, but then again, it kind of doesn't, and it kind of goes into the fact that last week predictions after the Jingu show, where I even said I predicted Hiromu was going to win G1 Climax. Hiromu's not even in the G1 Climax at all. He's pretty much still hanging out in the junior heavyweight division, which is not bad, but that kind of just told us that they're putting him back in the junior heavyweight division for a little bit of longer, not only with him losing, because he's the one that took the pinfall here, and it was super dramatic because I remember when he hit the first Pinche Loco, I was like, oh my God, he's got to get out of this. Then Bushi breaks it up. I was like, I think that was 3, but whatever, let's keep this match going. I was like, okay, whatever. He I don't care. So when he hit that second one, I was just like, yeah, that's it. I was just like, yep, that's pretty much that's it right here. We're gonna have new junior heavyweight tag team champions, and it won't be Los Dos Peligroso. So Yoshinobu Kanemaru, El Desperado get the victory right here. Even though I wanted my LIJ guys to win Peligroso, it probably makes more sense for these guys to win Despi and Kanemaru, because they already have a rivalry with these guys right here for beating them for these titles, beating them twice in a row, to be 100% honest. They have a rivalry right there. They have a built-in rivalry with Taguchi and Wado, because they've been punking on Wado for the whole time. So that's another rivalry. You get more out of that. And not necessarily with Geto or Ishimori, but he can defend the tag belts against him, because he could say, dude, I used to dominate you in Noah all the time. So, and I want a tag team, I want a heavyweight title or a junior heavyweight title shot. That could be a way they can incorporate that stuff you were talking about earlier, is to have those two guys challenge them, have them beat those two guys, have Suzuki Gun beat those two guys, and then have them be like, hey, I want the challenge for that belt since we just defended our belts against you. That's an easy way to have that happen. I just thought about that right there. So even though, Jay, I wanted Los Dos Peligroso to get the victory, I think right now you can probably get more out of Suzuki Gun being these champs.
Yeah, I think you can. I'm going to be a total sucker for Despi holding a title of any kind. He doesn't, seem to get that many, even though he has had more opportunities in this past year than he's probably had in a very long time. I mean, he was included in all the same stuff that, Hiromu and Sho were, and he was even in the final 4 of the King of Pro Wrestling tournament. So Despi having a belt is a good thing. And it does make you think that when you look at belt distribution now, Suzuki-gun is the most powerful faction in terms of gold, because you've got Suzuki himself with the never singles title. You've got Taichi and Zack with the heavyweight tag belts. Now you have Despi and Kanemaru with the junior tag belts. LIJ has the top 2 belts with heavyweight and IC with Naito, and then Chaos has the trios titles. So if you're looking at who theoretically has the most power in terms of numbers, right now it's Suzuki-gun, which is particularly interesting in light of what you were talking about with a potential leadership clash.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Suzuki-gun at this point, even though Naito is double champ, but as far as, I guess it might be a quality over quantity thing, but Suzuki-gun has more titles right now than any other stable going. So, yeah, they got, like you said, the heavyweight. They got both sets of tag team champions. They have the never openweight champion. They probably might be close to getting the trios titles, unbeknownst to us. We just don't see it right now. Hell, what's that? Oh, actually, they just won them. No, I'm kidding. It's like, no, so Suzuki-gun's kind of almost, even though LIJ is the ruling class of New Japan right now, they're not the ruling class in a dominant fashion. They're kind of, it's like Naito's the champ, but they're, as a stable, they might be kind of losing their grip, because Suzuki-gun seems to be on the rise right now. It's kind of, they go, it's like they just flip sometimes. It's like it goes Bullet Club, Chaos is always on top, so that don't fucking matter. Bullet Club, LIJ, Suzuki-gun. It always kind of really goes back and forth to which one is who's on top right there. So no, it's very interesting with Suzuki Gun right now. I kind of forgot to mention this about the G1 thing before we get up out of here and wrap this up, but oh, we're going to get a G1 match between Will Ospreay and Jay White, and I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of scared of how that match is going, the result's going to be. So I'm like, oh boy.
Well, we can talk about that when we get into, previews of stuff, because having looked at the actual cards, not only did I have a lot of ideas to begin with, now I'm wondering, hey, some of my ideas could actually be right this time. And one of those ideas has to do with the fact that I am convinced that one of the long-term main event heavyweight feuds that New Japan is building toward over the next couple of years is Will Ospreay versus Jay White. And I think we're going to see another step in the process here. So, we'll see how that goes. But even if it ends the way that, both of us hope it doesn't, we've always got the anniversary show match where Jay White pretty much destroys Will Ospreay. And that can never be taken away.
It will never be taken away at all. So it was nice to break down this junior heavyweight stuff on this New Japan road. Going to be excited for the damn G1 Climax. It's about a week away, y'all. So get prepared. Watch out old G1 stuff. Get y'all in the G1 mood, because I'm going to do a little bit of the same, man. I'm just ready. I'm just ready to get this started, man, and see what's going on. Because going to say getting ready to get into the fall. But by the time G1's over, it's going to be damn near like end of October and shit. But whatever. Anyway, but G1's going to march through the fall. We're going to march all the way to Wrestle Kingdom. It seems like Wrestle Kingdom 14 was just yesterday, but hey, it is what it is. So now we'll be here to cover it and bring it to y'all. So Jay, is there anything you want to say about this tour, about the G1 Climax, about anything that we talked about today? Maybe something we didn't touch on before we close this up and get up out of here?
Well, this was not a long tour, and most of it was multi-man tags with tag team tournament matches in the top spots, and that's a turnoff for a lot of people, but it really shouldn't be, because there was some absolutely wonderful wrestling on this tour, and it is definitely worth your time to check it out.
You heard my good sis right there. So you know what it is, man. We on here on this Podbean thing. Go ahead and subscribe to it. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Share it up. You know what I mean? Share it to all these, social media platforms so we can get bigger and better than we ever were before. And we out here is going to flex our muscles. So you know what it is. You know it's your boy, the Pro Wrestling Fly God, Balencia Naito, the Stardust Shiaku. Here are my illustrious tag team partner, the book junkie yourself, the intellectual juggernaut, the exalted one. And we are the Almighty SOS Wrestling Network. So hey, roll with it or get rolled on. Pick it up. You want one, pick it up, put it down, and get gone, clown. We here. So we shall holler at you. And until y'all hear us next time, we're going to have some G1 stuff on the docket for you. Y'all know what to do, man. I'm saying it now, damn it. Tranquilo.